Om Sadashiva-Samārambhāṃ Śaṅkaraचार्यमध्यamām Asmadācārya-paryantāṃ Vande Guru-parampārām. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Veeryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Okay, Tanmay ji, can you just start off from verse number 9 and 10 verses, so up to 18, 9 to 18.
Okay. Tisro ratrir yadavatsir gruhe me.
Tisro ratrir yadavatsir gruhe me.
Anashnan brahman tithir namasyah.
Anashnan brahman namasyah.
Namastestu brahman swasti mestu.
Namastestu brahman swasti mestu.
Tasmat pratitrin varan vrinishva.
Asmat
Shanta sankalpa sumana yatha syat.
Shanta sankalpa sumana yatha syat.
Vitamanyur gautamo mabhimrityo. Tvat prasrishtam mabhidevatat mabhivadet pratitah. Tvat prasrishtam mabhivadet pratitah. Tvat prasrishtam mabhivadet pratitah.
Tvat prasrishtam mabhivadet pratitah.
Etatrayanam prathamam varam vrine.
Etatrayanam prathamam varam vrine.
Yatha purastat bhavita pratitah.
Yatha purastat bhavita pratitah.
Audalakir arunir mat prasrishtah.
Audalakir arunir mat prasrishtah.
Sukhagam ratri shayita vitamanyuhu.
Sukhagam ratri shayita vitamanyuhu. Tvan dadrishivan mrityu mukhat pramuktam. Svarge loke na bhayam kinchanasti.
Svarge loke namayam kinchanasti.
Na tatra tvanna jaraya bibheti.
Na tatra tvanna jaraya bibheti.
Ubheti tva shanaya pipase.
Ubheti tva shanaya pipase.
Shokatiko modate svargaloke.
Shokatiko modate svargaloke.
Satvamagnigas svargyam madhyeshim mrityo.
Satvamagnigas svargyam madhyeshim mrityo.
Prabhuhi tvagam shaddadhanaya mahyam.
Prabhuhi tvagam shaddadhanaya mahyam.
Svargaloka amritatvam bhajante.
Svargaloka amritatvam bhajante.
Etat tritiyena vrane varena.
Etat tritiyena vrane varena.
Prate bravimi tadume nibodha.
प्रथमे ब्रवीमीतदुमे मूढा
वर्ग्यमग्निन्नचिकेतः प्रजानन्
स्वर्ग्यम् अग्निं नचिकेत प्रजानन्
अनन्तलोकाप्तिमथो प्रतिष्ठाम्
अनन्तलोकाप्तिमथो प्रतिष्ठाम्
विद्धि त्वमेतन्निहितं गुहायाम्
विद्धि त्वमेतन्निहितं गुहायाम्
लोकादिमग्निं तमुवाच तस्मै
लोकादिमग्निं तमुवाच तस्मै
या इष्टका यावतीर्वा यथा वा
या इष्टका यावतीर्वा यथा वा
स चापि तत्प्रत्यवदत्यथोक्थम्
स चापि तत्प्रत्यवदत्यथोक्तम्
अथास्य मृत्युः पुनरेवाह तुष्टः
अथास्य मृत्युः पुनरेवाह तुष्टः
तम् अब्रवीत् प्रीयमाणो महात्मा
तमब्रवीत् प्रीयमाणो महात्मा
वरन्तवेहाद्य ददामि भूयः
वरं तवेहाद्य ददामि भूयः
तवैव नाम्नां भवितायमग्निः
तवैव नाम्नां भविताय अग्निः
शृङ्काञ्चेमामनेकरूपां गृहाण
शङ्कां च मामनेकरूपां गृह्णान
त्रिणाचिकेतस्त्रिभिरेत्यसन्धिम्
त्रिनाचिकेतास्त्रिभिरेत्यसन्धिम्
त्रिकर्मकृत्तरते जन्म मृत्यु
त्रिकर्मा कर्तरि जन्म मृत्युः
ब्रह्मजज्ञं देवमीड्यं विदित्वा
ब्रह्मचर्यं देवमीड्यं विदित्वा
निचायेमागं शान्तिमत्यन्तमेति
निचायेमागं शान्तिमत्यन्तमेति
त्रिणाचिकेतस्त्रयमेतद्विदित्वा
त्रिनचिकेतास्त्रयमेतद्विदित्वा
य एवं विद्वागश्चिनुते नाचिकेतम्
य एवं विद्वागं निश्चिनुते नचिकेतम्
समृत्युपाशान् पुरतः प्रणोद्य
समृत्युपाशान् पुरतं प्रणोद्य
शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके
शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके
Okay, so we'll go to the 9th mantra. Please remember that in Upanishads, we don't call them slokas, don't call them verses, we call them mantras. So first, we have to rearrange the words a bit over here. So if you look at the 9th verse, the first word to be taken out is from the second line, Brahman, that is Brahman. That will be Anashnan Brahman Atitir Namasya, the second line. So, hey Brahman, Brahmana. This is not Brahman, this is Brahmana, the caste Brahmana, because Nachiketas is from Brahmin family. Hey Brahmana, Yad Avatsi, that is the first line. Yad Avatsi, since you have stayed, since you have been sitting here in front of my house, me grahe. So, Yad Avatsi me grahe. So all you can see is all mixed up in the first line. Yad Vatsi Grihe me. So Yad Avatsi me grahe. Since you have stayed in my house or sat in front of my house for Tisraha Ratri. Well, again, first word and the first part of the second word. Tisra Ratri, for 3 nights. And Namasya Atithi. So that again is in the second line, Namasya Atithi. You are a guest who is worthy of obeisances. Namaste, namaskaram, who is worthy of namaskaram. And how did you sit? Anashnan. Anashnan, you sat without eating. So Anashnan again is in the second line, first part of the word. And therefore, Namaha Astu, let there be obeisances from me to you. Te Brahmana, Namaha Astu Te Brahmana, O Brahmana, let me pay my salutations to you. And Astu Swasti, let there be auspiciousness, may. So he is not saying let there be auspiciousness to you, O Brahmana. He says, hey Brahmin, please bless me so that I stay auspicious. So hey Astu me Swasti. And Tasmat, because of the fact that there has been a fault on my part, Tasmat, Prinishva Trin Varan Prati. Therefore, choose any 3 boons from me. So he says, as you know, as a what they call offering to you, as praschit karma, as an offering to you, as a penance, I will grant you 3 boons, 1 for each of those nights which you have spent. So again, this is part of the story, and a lot remains to be imagined over here. So you can imagine that Lord Yama was given water and water to wash Nachiketa's legs. So he bought water, he got the water, washed Nachiketa's legs, brought the food also from his family and offered the food to him. Nachiketa is seated there, and Lord Yama is apologizing in the form of the namaskara. So he offers a namaskara, he offers an apology, and for one day, for each day or each night that he sat there, he offers him one boon. So he says, Tvam namasya atiti bhavati. You are an honorable guest in my house. Me grahe avatsihi. You stayed in my house. Tisraha ratrihi. Anashnan. Without food, you stayed for 3 days in my house. And te namaha astu. That there be salutations to you, O Brahmin. And me swastis astu. Let there be auspiciousness for me. Tasmat. Choose 3 boons. So Yamadharmaraja's actions are showing that he is accepting the fact that there was an error on his part, on his family's part, and he's apologizing for the same. And the next mantra, so this doesn't need an explanation, it's basically an apology. And the next mantra is Nachiketas is going to say something. So next mantra is Nachiketas Uvacha. So what does Nachiketas say? So look at the words. Hey Mrityu, oh Lord Yama. Mrityu is death, which is again another name for Lord Yama. Hey Mrityu, Gautamaha yathasyat. May my father Gautamaha be Shanta Sankalpaha, free from anxiety. Vita Manyuhu, free from anger. Sumanaha, kind-hearted. Abhima, towards me. And Pratitaha, having recognized me, Abhivadet ma, he should talk to me. And what me is this? Tvat prasastram. I am sent back from you. And etat prathamam varam varane. This is my first boon. Trayanam, among the 3 boons. So this is Nachiketas asking for the first among the 3 boons. So he says, Gautamaha Shanta Sankalpa Syat. May Gautamaha. Gautama is Nachiketa's father. And we first saw him as Rajasravaha. The first other name is Rajasravaha. This is May Rajasravaha, may my father be free from all the mental disturbances. Santa Sankalpa Syat. May he be free from mental disturbances. What are the mental disturbances? Caused by the fact that he got angry with me, and then the fact that I didn't listen to him when he said don't go away, and then I went away. So all these 3 things combined, I went away to Lord Yama's abode, to his house, and that must have caused a lot of anxiety to my father. So the first boon is let my father be free of those mental disturbances. And the second part of the boon. So remember, all this is the first boon only. Okay, it is not to be taken as different parts of the different boons. So Vita Manohu. So Vita means without. Manohu is anger. So Vita Manohu Ma Bihi. Let there be no anger towards me. Why? Because I didn't obey him and I didn't listen to him and I disturbed his yajna. So let him not have any anger towards me. And Sumanaha. So Shankaracharya describes or gives the meaning of Sumanaha as Prasanna Manaha, a mind which is pleased, which is calm, a mind where the worries are not there. So Sumanaha bhi, let that mind be calm and free. When is this? Tvat Pratishtham Mam. After being released by you, after fulfilling my whatever questions I have to ask you, I will be sent back to my father by you. So Pratita Mam, let him recognize me. Okay. So here one may wonder, why is he saying let him recognize me when the whole episode has lasted only 3 nights. So there is an implication here, which is mentioned in the scripture somewhere else, that in different lokas, time passes at different rate, at different speeds or different rates. And therefore, the implication is that 3 days in Yamaloka may be a very long time on earth. And maybe his father would have forgotten him, so the father should not forget him. That is the implication here when he says, Pratita Hamam, he should recognize me. And some commentators write over here that what Nachiketas means is that my father should not consider me as a bhoot pret, as a ghost. Since I'm coming back from Yamraj's land, my father should not think that I'm a ghost. And he should recognize me as his own son. And Ma Abhivadet. He should talk to me. He should welcome me. Etat Trayanam Prathamam Varam Vrine. So he says Etat. Now Etat is singular number. So indicate that this is the first boon I choose among the 3 boons that you have given me. So here again, Nachiket is very subtly implying that all the different things that he has asked for, Shanta Sankalpaha, Sumanaha, Vitamanyuhu, these are only part of the first boon. The whole thing is one consolidated boon. And Lord Yama should not be counting it as exhausting all the 3 boons. That is the implication over here. And Lord Yama says, okay, granted. Okay. And therefore the next mantra is Mrityuhu Uvachaha. Yama spoke. Yama replied to Nachiketas. The 11th mantra. And here he says, Dadarshivan Tvam, having seen you. Who? Your father. Your father having seen you. Pramuktam, released. Mrityu Mukhat, from the mouth of death. Right? Because normally nobody goes to Lord Yama and comes back. But here, and here again is the implication that yes, Lord Yama is going to send back the Nachiketas to his father. So that has already been brought out in this very subtle way. So Dadrishivan Tvam, having seen you, Pramuktam Mrityu Mukhat, released from the jaws of death, and Pratitaha, and having recognized you, Auddalaki is again this Auddalaki. Auddalaki is again who? He is Gautama only. He is Vajashrava, another name, Auddalaki. So there's another name for his father. And Arunihi also is another name of his father. Okay, so Auddalaki Arunihi, your father, who is Auddalaki, who is Arunihi. Arunihi means son of Aruna. So this is a grandfather's name. Nachiketa's grandfather's name is Aruna, and therefore Auddalaki Aruna, son of Aruna, Yatha Parastad, will be as he was before you. Bhavitaha Yatha Purastad, will behave with you. Purastad means before, literally behind. So Purastad will be as before he was with you. And Mat Prasistraha, having been blessed by me, Vita Manyuhu, because of my blessings, your father will be free from anger. And Ratri Shayita Sukhagam, Ratri Shayita Sukham, he will sleep peacefully at night. So Yamaraj has accepted all the requests, and he says, having been blessed by me and released by me, you, O Nachiketas, have been blessed by me by my giving you the boons, and I will release you, and your father will recognize you, and his behavior with you will be exactly the same as he was earlier. This was the first boon being granted. The next mantra is therefore Nachiketa Uvacha. He is asking for a second boon. So remember, the first boon consists of various parts, And Yamaraja said okay to all the parts. Okay. Now in the second boon, Nachiketa says, Swarge loke na bhayam kinchan asti, na tatra tvam na jaraya bhibeti, ube tirtva ashanaya pipase, shokatigo modate swargaloke. So swargaloke bhayam kinchan asti. So Nachiketa is saying, in heaven, there is no fear at all. Fear of short life, insecurity is not there. Why? Why is it not there? He gives it the second line. Tatra tvam na asi. Because, oh Yamraj, you are not there. So literally, the literal translation of these two lines is that in heaven, there is no fear of death actually. That insecurity of death is not there. And he gives the reason, because you are not there. Okay. So again, you have to understand that in the scriptures, each of the lokas are different lokas. So Swargaloka is a different loka and Yamaloka is a different loka. Then Yamaloka is actually where Lord Yamaraj is, so there is death over there. And Lord Yamaraj, of course, rules over the Bhuloka also, this earth also. Therefore, death touches people here also. But literal translation is that death cannot touch people in Swargaloka. But this is not true, right? Because what is the Gita quote which I can remember over here? 9th chapter quote. What should be the quote which you could recall here as a pramanam to prove that there is death also in Swargaloka? Anybody? You're all advanced students. Gita should be, in your brain, stuck inside your brain. Which is the mantra? Nobody? 9th chapter, I've given you the hint also. No, okay, let me read it out for you. So 9th chapter, this is the 21st sloka. Tamte bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. What does it mean? Te tam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam. Come. You must know. Kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. What does it mean? This is a pramanam to say that there is a limitation to the time you can spend in Swargaloka. Meda, do you want to have a shot? Okay.
It is saying that.
Yes.
It is saying that the people who go to Swargaloka desiring all these things, they do the rituals and all that, and they go to Swargaloka, and then over there and once the punyam is over, they come back. Shine punye, they come back.
Yeah. So tetam bhuktva, having gone to Swargaloka, having enjoyed the punya phalam, the consequences of all the punyam, kshine punye, when the punyam gets over, martya lokam vishanti, they re-enter the world of the mortals. So if you look at that, then this tatra tvam na asi, because you are not there, Swargaloke bhayam kinchit nasti, there is no fear of death over there, is to be understood as what? As very long life. Compared to the earth, very long life, because Pramanam does say that once the punyam is exhausted, you have to come back to Martyaloka. So that understanding has to be proper. It's a way of exaggeration only. So he is saying that normally, compared to the earth, people have a very long life over there. And also, na jaraya bhibeti. One is not afraid of old age also, or disease also. And therefore he says, tirtva ubhe. Ubhe is having crossed both. What both? He says, ashnaya pipase. Hunger and thirst you cross. And again, we have to understand this correctly. It is not that in Swargaloka, people don't eat or drink. So just because the time passes at a different rate, the need to satisfy hunger and thirst are at much longer intervals if you compare that time with the time on this earth. So that is the correct understanding, that since time passes at different rates, the interval between, say, breakfast and lunch in Svargaloka could be several weeks or several months in the time for earth. And that is why Nachiketa says that they have crossed over hunger and thirst. And also, Shoka Atigaha, they have gone beyond sorrow also. Atigaha means overcoming, conquering. So Shoka Atigaha, they have gone over sorrow also. And having done this, done what all? Not being afraid of old age, not being afraid of death, not requiring or conquering, hunger and thirst, and going beyond sorrow. What do they do? Modate Swargaloki. They enjoy themselves in Swargaloka. Okay. So here he is saying that you have to teach me that particular ritual which takes you to Swargaloka. Okay. The second boon is also unselfish request, because he is requesting the secret of the fire ritual which can take one to heaven. And why is he requesting that? So that he can go back home to his father and then he can teach other human beings so that they can also do the same rituals and reach heaven. Right? So insecurity is in this world is about food, and psychological insecurity also is there in this world, and both are absent in Swarga, he says. So modate, enjoyment, constant entertainment. And so, hey Lord Yama, if there is a ritual which you can teach me, which will enable one to go straight to heaven, please teach me. So that is what he's saying. Okay. And so we look at the 13th mantra, which is a continuation of the same thing. So he says, Sa Tvam Agnihi Swargyam Adhyeshi Mrityo Prabhuhi Tvam Shraddha Dhanaya Mahyam Swargaloka Amritatvam Bhajante Etad Dvitiyena Vrene Varena. So Swargaloka Amritatvam Bhajante. People in Swargaloka, they enjoy immortality. Okay. Again, this has to be connected to the explanation I gave in the previous mantra. Immortality is as in very, very long time, not in the literal sense, but time-wise, the time that a person spends in Swargaloka in terms of earth time, it's a very long time, maybe decades, maybe several lifetimes on earth. But after exhaustion of the punyam, kshene punye, they have to come back. So he says, hey Mrityo, hey Lord Yama, Tvam Swargyam Agnim Adheshi. You know the fire, that particular Swargyam fire. Swargyam fire is that fire which takes you to heaven. So you have to understand this very carefully, because the term fire in this very section itself, Agnihi, is used in various mantras in different meanings. Like there is one meaning which is plain Agnihi. Then there is one meaning which is the Agni ritual, the Agni Homam. So there is one meaning is fire, plain old fire. One meaning is the fire ritual. And one more meaning is there, that Agni refers to Virat Ishvara, Vishwarupa Ishvara. So there is a section upon meditation upon that fire in which Vishwarupa Ishvara is being invoked. But in this particular mantra, Agnihi means a Vedic fire ritual. And how does Nachiketas know that Yama knows that? Because Yama has come to heaven on account of having done the successful fire ritual. And that is why Nachiketa says, Tvam Agnim Adhyeshi. You know that fire, you know the ritual. And Tvam Prabhuhi Mahyam Shraddha. May you teach that to me. And I am Shraddha. I am a person who has a lot of faith in the scriptures and in you as my teacher. So please teach me. Okay. So that is his second request for the second boon. And the 14th mantra is again Yamraj Uvacha. So Yama is saying, Hey Nachiketa. So he says, Prate Bravimi Tad Ume Niboda Swargyam Agnim Nachiketa Prajanan Ananta Loka Apramito Pratishtham Vidhi Twametam Nihitam Guhaya. So, hey Nachiketa, Prajanan Agnim, I know the fire ritual. Swargyam, And that fire ritual leads you to Swarga, leads you to heaven. And therefore, Prabravimi te, I shall very clearly teach you, Tad Nibodha U. U here is for emphasis. Tad Nibodha, that ritual which I teach you, Nibodha. You must clearly understand me, from me. And Tvam Vidhi, you should know that. Evam. Evam is again referring to the fire ritual. Tvam Vidhi Evam. May you know that this fire ritual, Anantaloka Aptim, is a means to the attainment of heaven. So Anantaloka is heaven over here, which is a means to the Aptim, to attain heaven. And what kind of heaven? Atho Pratishtham, which is the support of this world, of all the worlds. And Nihitam Guhayam, that is located in the heart. So in terms of the travel, after the fire ritual is done, and you go to heaven, they say. The person goes to heaven. So remember, physical body does not go to heaven. Atma does not go anywhere. So it is the Sukshma Shariram and the Karma Shariram which alone travels. And this is the Jiva, or in English we call it departed soul. The Jiva which travels. Now look at the word Prabravimi. So Bravimi is the word. Bravimi means teach. And pra is a prefix, which is to be taken as prakarshena, thoroughly, completely, exhaustively. So Prabhavimi means I will teach you thoroughly. I will teach you without leaving anything. And Prajanan, why? Because I know the ritual. And Ananta Loka Aptim. So Apti is a means. So you know that how I get to heaven. So that is the ritual over here. Ananta here means very, very large, but cannot mean infinite. The literal meaning of the term Ananta is infinite. Here it cannot mean infinite. Why?
Talking about heaven.
Beg your pardon?
No, because he's talking about heaven, is a limitation about.
Yeah, you would explain more. Explain that.
Ananta Loka, it's saying. So the
Yeah, okay, Ananta Lagada. I'm just talking about the word Ananta. Why is Ananta? Ananta's literal meaning is infinite. Ananta, without any anta. But here you cannot take that meaning. Why?
it is because it's a longer life period. That's why it's taken over here. Anant in terms of that it defines.
No. Anybody?
Because that Swargaloka is very part of Maya and thus can be literally infinite.
Very good. So that's one explanation. You can also think of it as saying that there is only one, Ananta thing in this world. What is that?
Brahman.
There is only one infinite thing, and that is Brahman. No, nothing else can be taken as Brahman. So Ananta Loka means that Loka which is very, very large. So again he's talking about Swarga Loka, Brahma Loka. And Atho Pratishtham. This particular ritual is the support of this Atho Pratishtham. This Atha refers to Agni. Okay, so here is where the confusion comes. When he's talking first about Agni, he's talking about the ritual. Now here he's talking again about Pratishtham, is the support of the whole universe. And therefore, very carefully you have to understand that the ritual cannot possibly be the support of the whole universe. And Atho here is referring to Agni. So Agni here is the third meaning, Vishwarupa Ishvara. That Vishwarupa Ishvara is the support of the universe. Right. So that has to be understood very carefully. That there is one reference to Agni in the earlier part of the mantra, which is the Agni ritual. The Athaha is again the reference to Agni, but second reference is for Vishwarupa Ishvara. Okay. Now this fire ritual can be used as a upasana also, by invoking a deity upon the symbol. And the symbol upon which you invoke a deity is called alambanam. And the deity is called a upasya. For example, you are, let us say, doing a puja to Lord Shiva. What is the alambanam there? Supposing I am doing puja to Lord Shiva, what is the alambanam?
Shivalingam.
Shivalingam is the alambanam. What is the upasyam? Remember that Shivalingam is not Lord Shiva. Shivalingam is alambanam. What makes it sacred? It is the invocation of the deity onto the Shivalingam. And therefore Lord Shiva is the upasyam who is invoked upon the Shivalingam. So here the Shivalingam is the alambanam, the deity Lord Shiva is the upasyam. And therefore you'll see that in many of our traditional Parayanam texts, there's always an invocation of the deity in the alambanam, right? Can you give one example? How do you invoke a deity onto alambanam? Okay, I will leave that for the time being. I'll park that for the time being. And as we go on, we'll explain more. Then look at verse number 15. Here again he says, Lokadi magnim tamuvacha tasmai ya ishtaka yavatirva yathava sachapi tat pratyavad adyathoktam athasya mrityuhu punareva tushta. So Lokadim. Lokadim means Adi is the foremost. So Lokadim, the one who is the foremost in the world, the first born. What is that? Brahmaji. And Yaha Ishtaka. Yaha Ishtaka is basically the bricks. So this is being taught to Nachiketas. Yaha Ishtaka. What type of bricks are to be used for making that particular fireplace or the homakund for doing the fire ritual. So Ya Ishtaka, how many bricks are there? What type of bricks are there? Yavativa, how many numbers of bricks are there? Yathava, what is the arrangement of the bricks? So based on the number and the types of bricks, what is the method of arranging the homakund? That he taught. And Sachapi, he also Pratyavadat Tat Yathoktam. So here this means that Lord Yama asked, having taught Nachiketas, Lord Yama said, please repeat what I have taught you. Because Yamraj wanted to be sure that Nachiketas are indeed understood what he taught. So Atha, then, Tushta Asya, satisfied with the repetition given by Nachiketas, Mrityuhu Aha, Lord Yama, Puna Eva, once again said. Therefore here, Upanishad says that Lord Yama taught the ritual elaborately. Okay. And the details are not given because it simply says the number of bricks and all these things, the types of bricks and how they are to be arranged. Details are not given. Why the details are not given? Very interesting question.
Because, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is it's not the karma kanda part of the Vedas, so they don't want to distract the seekers in more karma.
That is, can you refine that?
That is not the aim of this particular Upanishad.
That is not the aim of the Upanishad. So Lord Yama has already said that he is impressed with whom? With Nachiketas. He knows that Nachiketas is the adhikari. He is the student who has got all the sadhana chatushtayam. And therefore he knows that Nachiketas is not interested in moksha, but he has taught him. But the Upanishad is meant for whom? The Upanishad is meant for us. And therefore Shruti, the Upanishad assumes that we are all eligible for Shruti. We are eligible for Vedantic study. And as students who are eligible for the Vedantic study, Upanishad is not encouraging us to go to heaven. Okay, Upanishad doesn't say that you go to heaven, you go to Swarga. So they don't give anything at all. They all assume that as Vedantic students, we are not interested in heaven. Do you remember Tattva Bodha, where it said that neither the pleasures of this earth nor the pleasures of the post life, both are not required for a person who is sadhana chatusha sampanna. And therefore Upanishad students are not expected to be interested in heaven, interested only in moksha. And therefore the Upanishad doesn't give any details. Now these details, if you want to know, they will be available in the Karma Kanda. Okay. So a lot of details are there. When we do particular rituals at home, the fire has to be kindled in a particular manner, a very ritualistic manner. The Homa Kunda has to be prepared properly. And before the Homa Kunda, the ground itself has to be prepared. The bricks have to be made properly. Dimensions are prescribed. How they have to be arranged, how many bricks are to be used. And there are so many shastric rules which have to be correctly followed. And not only that, when you light the fire, can you use the matches?
Om Acharya, you said no. We have to use those summit, something you had mentioned, 2 sticks you have to.
What is the name of the sticks? We have talked about it earlier.
Yes.
What
Not
is the name?
Samit Pani. Not
Samit.
Samit.
Definitely not. That is Kathopanishad. That is what you take to your guru.
Yeah.
So it's called Arani. Okay, there is a
Lower and upper Arani.
Upper Arani and lower Arani is there.
Right.
So you have to use those. You have to take 2 blocks of wood and you have to, rub them together. And with the sparks which come out of that friction, that only the fire can be lit. So this is called a Yajna Agni. Very specific thing. Agni lit with a matchstick is not Agni. Agni has to be lit in this particular manner. The other Agni is called what? Laukika Agni, worldly fire. But this is a Shastric Agni, lit according to the Vidhi of the Shastra. Okay. And then Lord Yama taught all these details. And remember that is why, because of this importance of Agni, that is why Agni plays a very significant role in the life of a Hindu. For everything we have Agni. We get up in the morning, we have light the fire. Any ritual, we have Agni. So everything in the Vedic ritual is centered around Agni. And then he says Loka Adi. Loka Adi, firstborn. The firstborn is Lord Brahmaji. And here, Lord Brahmaji is what in terms of Tattva Bodha?
Hiranyagarbha.
Hiranyagarbha. Is Hiranyagarbha the world?
Antaryami.
Antaryami is even one more subtle.
The previous. Yeah, even more subtle. Vishwa.
Vishwa is a Jiva. Vishwa is an individual Jiva. Okay. At the Samashti level, that is what? Virat. So Virat Ishvara is talking about. So Lokadi here can mean Brahmaji, but Brahmaji is the very support, very karanam from which, very cause from which Virat is born. And what they call worship is always done to Virat Ishvara. Right? If you remember Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter, Virat Ishvara was there. And therefore, Nachiketas heard all this. And what did he say? Sacha api. Nachiketas also tat pratyavadat. He repeated that yathoktam exactly as Lord Yama taught him. Athatushta asya. Having been satisfied, Lord Yama spoke again. Mrityu punam eva aha. That he was satisfied that Nachiketas understood properly, and therefore Yamraj again spoke. So he says, Tam abravit priyamana mahatma varam tevadhya dadami bhuyah tavaiva namna bhavitayam agnihi srinka chema maneka rupa grahan. So priyamanaha is in the first line, third word. Priyamanaha, being pleased. Who? Mahatma. So here Mahatma is Lord Yama. So Priyamana Mahatma, Lord Yama was pleased. And Tam Abravit. He said, Lord Yama said, Bhuya, once again to Nachiketas. Dadami Tava. I give you Varam, a boon. Iha Adhya, here and now. Okay. I am Agnihi, this fire ritual. Tava Namna Eva Bhavitaha will in future be known by your name only. So this I am Agni Bhavita tava namna eva. Will in future be known by your own name, which is Nachiketas. It will be called Nachiketa Agni. And not only that, Imam Aneka Rupam Shrinkam. So Shrinkam is a necklace. Imam Aneka Rupam Shrinkam, this necklace which has got multiple forms, which are multicolored gems, it can say, Aneka Rupam, you please take from me, because this is also my gift to you. Tam Mahatma Priyamana Abravit. So that Lord Yama, he was pleased, and this is what he said to Nachiketas. The first line of this mantra, Tam Abravit Priyamana Mahatma. That is not Yamraj speaking, that is the Shruti, that is the Upanishad speaking. The Upanishad line it is. The second line onwards is Yamraj. So he says, I am giving you another boon here. And in fact, he gives two boons, not one boon, he gives two boons. First is that he says that in future, this Agni ritual, which I have taught you, will be called Nachiketa Agnihi. That is the first boon. And he also gives him a necklace of many forms, which he himself is wearing. So, in fact, instead of 3 boons, there are finally 5 boons. Okay, the 3 original ones and these 2. So, what does Nachiketa say? And that's very interesting. So, Trinatiketas, Tribir Etya Sadhim, Trikarmakrit, Janma Mrityuhu, Brahmachagnyam Devamediam Viditva, Nichayemagam Shantim Atyantam Eti. So, now here, we should know that any homam, any ritual, any Vedic ritual can be performed in 2 ways. One is the ritual as described in the Veda. Okay, just the plain old ritual. The Veda describes the ritual. Do this, do this, do this, do that. That you can do. That is karma. And that is called Kevala karma. Only the ritual. Okay. Then what is the phalam? What is the fruit? The fruit is that Veda says that if you do only the karma part of it, you will go by Krishna Gati and you will reach where? Where does Krishna Gati take you? Chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita. Where does Krishna Gati take you?
Chandraloka.
Chandraloka, yeah, I can take it as Swargaloka. Okay, so Krishna Gati takes you to Swargaloka. And you can also do the ritual another way. You do the karma, but first you invoke Vishwarupa Ishvara. And then you meditate upon Vishwarupa Ishvara. The first one is Kevala karma, only the ritual. The second one is the ritual with meditation. So you practice Vishwarupa Ishvara Upasana along with the ritual, and therefore it becomes Upasana Sahita karma. The karma is done along with the meditation, and that is said to have a higher phalam. And the one who does this Upasana with the ritual, he goes to Brahma Loka, which is a Swargaloka, but is the higher Swargaloka. So in the Swargaloka hierarchy, you have Swargaloka as the, I think is the 3rd layer, and the highest one is Brahma Loka, the 7th heaven, Brahma Loka. So here he says Trinachiketa, one who has invoked the Nachiketa Agni thrice in his lifetime. Okay, so Trinachiketa means not just once having done the same fire ritual has been done 3 times in his lifetime, and he says Tribihi Sandhim Etya. So Sandhi is a connection. So here you can take it as a relationship. There are 3 relationships which everybody has: the mother, the father, the guru. So these are the conditions. One is the first person should have invoked this, should have done this homam 3 times, should have had in his life all the 3, mother, father and guru, and 3 karma krit. He should perform 3 rites: yajna, dana, tapaha. What happens to that person? Tarati janma mrityuhu. He crosses over birth and death. Viditva idyam devam. Having known this Lord, Brahma Yam, who is the omniscient son of Brahman, that is who Hiranyagarbha, Virat Ishvara, Nichaye. Having meditated upon that Lord, what happens? Imam Shantim Atyantam Iti. He attains this peace, permanently attains this peace. Okay. Now, all this is based on Shraddha in the Vedas. I mean, one person who has Shraddha in the Vedas, who has belief in the Vedas, he will believe in rebirth and heaven and all these things. And if you don't have Shraddha in the Vedas, it is obviously not relevant to us. And therefore, as I said, meditation has two classifications. One is the Swatantra Upasana. The Upasana can be done only by itself. And one is it can be done as Karma Anga Upasana. As a part of some karma, it can be done. So Upasana done as part of a ritual is Karma Anga. Therefore, if you are doing this Nachiketa Homam and you are also doing the Upasana by invoking Vishwarupa Ishvara, then the Upasana is not independent Upasana. It is part of the ritual, part of the Nachiketa Homam. And the Upasana which is done as part of a ritual is called a Karma Anga because it cannot exist independently of the ritual. It can be done independently of the ritual, but then it becomes Swatantra Upasana. It becomes independent Upasana. If a Karma Anga Upasana is by the name itself is the Anga of the karma, of the particular ritual. And therefore a Karma Anga Upasana is part of the ritual. And what is the job of the Upasana? It is to increase the overall impact of the karma, of the ritual which you do, its overall benefit. The phalam is significantly impacted if there is a upasana attached to it. For example, chanting of Vishnu Sahasranama, Parayanam, it's a ritual. Okay. Is there a part of it which is upasana? Many of you are part of have at least been part of Vishnu Sahasranama chanting classes. So you can just chant it. That is a karma. It's a Parayanam. But is there a way of converting that into upasana also? Anybody? Which are the words which you can convert into upasana?
Acharya, actually, all of it is meant to be done with upasana, but the dhyanam itself tells you what to.
Exactly. The dhyanam, atha dhyanam, chirodhanmat pradesh, etc. All those things. Generally, we chant them very mechanically, right? And if you do it mechanically, then it is only karma. But if you are chanting the dhyana sloka, after learning the meaning, and what is the meaning? Dhyana sloka gives descriptions of the body of Vishnu. And therefore, when you do the chanting, or at least when you do the dhyanam, you are supposed to mentally visualize the Lord on the basis of this description. You have to mentally visualize all the details which have been given in the dhyana sloka. And with that visualization, what happens? You are doing a meditation upon Lord Vishnu, right? So that is part of, it becomes a karma anga upasana. When you do the parayanam in this way, that upasana part becomes part of the overall karma, which is chanting of the Vishnu Sahasranama. If you do only the parayanam without doing the meditation or the visualization, you will get less punyam than you would if you combine the parayanam with the upasana. Right? So Swatantra Upasana, independent Upasana can exist independently. Rituals need not accompany them. You can have simple meditation. And when we learn Taittiriya Upanishad, we'll see that Taittiriya Upanishad gives several such meditative techniques, meditations, in which you need not combine any ritual. But here the Karma Anga Upasana being taught by Lord Yama is Virat Upasana, which is Vishwarupa Dhyanam. And Vishwarupa Ishvara has to be invoked upon what? What is the Vishwarupa is Upasyam. Vishwarupa Ishvara is the Upasyam, the deity to be invoked. What is the Alambanam here? A Vedantic student has to be extremely alert. Okay. Every word has to be. What is the Alambanam? When I am saying I'm going to invoke Vishwarupa Ishvara, Where am I invoking? What is the alambanam for the invocation?
Jagat.
No.
Can it be Agni?
Yes, the Nachiketa Agni is the alambana. You have to, when you are on that Nachiketa Agni, you have to invoke Vishwarupa Ishvara, which is why I said earlier that the third meaning of that fire is Vishwarupa Ishvara. Right? So you have to follow very carefully all these. This is only the story part. Just imagine what will happen when we come to the philosophy part. Okay. We are only talking story right now. Okay. So if there are upasanas included in the karma, then the result is Brahmaloka. So this is the topic from verse number 17 to verse number 19. So he says, Nachiketa, one who has invoked this Nachiketa Agni thrice in his lifetime, and Tribihi Sandhyam Etya. So Sandhi here, Sandhi normally means a connection or joining. And here it's taken as relationships. So Vedas declare that Vedic rituals, Shastric rituals will produce the best results only if the performer is following, is possessed of very good moral and ethical values. Okay, how does one develop character and personality? So Veda says that a person has this, the chance for a person, the possibility of a person having a good character and a very ethical personality is possible only when he has had three healthy relationships in his life. So mother, father, and guru, right? So in the old days, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, they all had to study Dharma Shastra. That is all character building. Therefore, he says, Tribihi Sandhimetya. This dharmic person whose life has been influenced by these three personalities, the mother, the father, and the guru, he will have developed a good character. And when such a dharmic person performs the ritual, the result will be very beneficial. The result promised by the Veda will definitely come. And why is it that Mata, Pita, and Acharya are being taken as the three relationships over here? Shankara gives the context. So he says, he quotes Yajna Valkya. So Yajna Valkya is the guru in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So Yajna Valkya visits Janaka once, King Janaka. And he asks King Janaka to tell him what all he has learned from other rishis. Because Janaka was a person who had a lot of rishis in his court. A lot of rishis visited him. A lot of them gave him advice and teaching. So Yajna Valkya says, you tell me what you have learned from other rishis. So Janaka mentions 6 acharyas. And he says that all these acharyas are very competent and reliable acharyas. And what is the proof of their competence and reliability? So Janaka gives a simple answer. All 6 have got Mata, Pita, Acharya. So Shankara borrows from this Shruti Vakyam and says that these 3, the presence of Mata, Pita, and Acharya in your life are the indicators of the maturity in a person. And a person, a sadhaka, who has had these 3 relationships, his words will be true. And therefore, his words can be taken as pramana karya, as pramana. And therefore, if while you are doing the rituals, you do not get the results which are promised by the Veda, then you have to understand that this precondition has not been fulfilled. Right? And incidentally, these 3 conditions are also extended to astrologer. If you are choosing an astrologer, you should first ask, do you have a father, mother, and guru? One of the conditions is that all 3 should be there. And then 3 karma krit. So Veda prescribes certain rituals as mandatory rituals. In the 3rd chapter of Gita, we call it Pancha Mahayagnya. And out of the Pancha Mahayagnya, in chapter 18, there is a reference to Yajna Dana Tapa. So Yajna Dana Tapa Karmana Tyajyam Karmam. Those karma should never be renounced. And therefore, these 3, Yajna, Danaha, Tapa, the worship, charity, and austerity. This we have to ensure that the person who is doing the karma with the upasana, he has gone through all this. And if you have done that, then your Vedic ritual will give you good benefit. And only when all these compulsory activities are regularly performed, then only your rituals will give you any fruit. So if a person wants Brahmaloka, not only has he got to be dharmic in nature, he has to do the Nachiketa Homam thrice. He has to do the Trikarma also, he has to do regularly, and he has to perform the Virat Upasana also regularly. So he says Viditva, having known Brahmagnya idam Devam, Virat Ishvara, having known. And who is this Virat Ishvara? Brahmagnya, one who is born out of Brahma. Brahmajja, one who is born out of Brahma. And he is the omniscient one. And you should therefore invoke this Vishwarupa Ishvara, this Virat Ishvara, should be invoked upon the Agni, which is the Alambanam in the Nachiketa ritual. And then Nichaye, having been completely absorbed in the meditation, in the sense that he gets completely absorbed into Virat Ishvara, his own individuality is forgotten. Then he will get the phalam. And what is the phalam? Shantim Antyanam Eti. Before death, he will get Shanti. This is Loka phalam. Having enjoyed Shanti in his life, Janma Mritya Tarati. After death, he will go to Brahma Loka. In Brahma Loka, he will have a very long life, almost immortal. Because compared to human life, the Brahma Loka life will continue for a very long time. And if you read Swami Shivananda's interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, you will see that Shivananda Swami has mentioned 1 day of Brahma as a phenomenal number of years, something like 864 crores of years. And like that, the whole life of Brahma is 120 years. So 120 into 365 into 864. That is the life of Brahmaji. Okay. This will stop over here. In case of any questions, we can answer them.
Raviji?
Yeah.
Because we're talking so much about karma kandas, in Mundaka Upanishad, you mentioned that till such time we have attained complete Chitta Shuddhi and become Chatushtaya, which I don't think I am. Karma kandas are still pramanam for us. But then we are not actually spending any effort learning karma kandas or even dharma shastra. So what is the place of it exactly?
Karma Kanda, in the essence of Karma Kanda, we have compressed in Bhagavad Gita into Panchamahayajna and Karma Yogi's attitude. So it may be physically not feasible for all of us to go through all the Karma Kanda, and therefore we simply say that do the Panchamahayajna and have the attitude of a Karma Yogi. With that, you have caught the essence of Karma Kanda.
Okay.
Okay, I don't think you want to spend time doing Nachiketa Homam and trying to get to heaven. It's a waste of time because you have to come back.
Right.
So here again, what is the purpose of this whole story? You must know. What is Lord Yama trying to convey? What Yama is giving him all the material things, hoping that he will go away. That is the whole part. Yama is whatever he's asking, Yamaraj is giving. Okay, why is he giving? Okay, he'll ask, and then he'll go away and leave me in peace. So unfortunately for Yamaraj, Nachiketa doesn't do that. So that we'll see the rest of the story. The two boons have covered a lot of material stuff,
Okay.
including a way to get to heaven.
Thank you, Raviji.
Okay. Yes, June.
Acharya.
Yeah.
So in the 14th mantra, we say that we mentioned that the words that are located in the heart. So what's the
Vishwarupa Ishvara? Vishwarupa Ishvara is located in the heart.
And what's the Sanskrit word for heart here?
Guha. Guha literally means a cave. So
Okay.
we take it as the cave of the heart.
And when we mention the word heart, what exactly are we referring to?
We are referring to the fact that the Lord exists in your heart, which is what the common saying is. Where does the Lord sit? He sits in your heart.
Are we talking of the physical heart?
Yes, you're talking about the physical heart.
Okay.
So don't think of any non-physical heart. It doesn't exist. It is physical heart only. Okay.
Yes, that was the confusion.
No, there are a lot of people who say that the spiritual heart is on the right-hand side and all those things. It's not that. Shastra doesn't, cater to all that. Shastra says it's the heart. It's a physical heart. And it, in fact, in other Upanishads, there is a description of the heart being the size of a thumb and all that. So anyway, just take it as the physical heart.
Okay.
The space in the heart is taken as the residence of the Lord.
Okay.
Yes, Tanmay.
Acharya, I got a little, we went quite fast in the last 2 or 3
Okay.
mantras. So I got a little confused in, I think it was the 17th one, because it went really fast and I wanted to ask at that time, but didn't get the chance. So at that point in time, I think it was the 17th mantra, where Brahmajagnyam, but I think you've clarified it right now. So that I've understood it, because it started with you speaking about what is Brahmaji, and then we spoke about Hiranyagarbha, Samashti, Sukshma Shariram. But from Hiranyagarbha, it suddenly became Virat.
Brahmajagnyam. So Brahma is Hiranyagarbha.
Yeah. Born of Hiranyagarbha.
Is born of Hiranyagarbha.
So we are doing Virat Upasana.
Yes. Because Virat is born from Hiranyagarbha. So if you look at the Karanam Karyam Sambandha connection, from Antaryami Hiranyagarbha is born, from Hiranyagarbha Virat is born. So that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Acharya. Acharya, just to add on to what you just explained also about the heart, you've mentioned it to us many, many times, and maybe June has missed that, which is that the Golakam, the instrument for the mind,
the Golakam. Heart is the Golakam for the mind. Because when you visualize Virat Ishvara, where do you visualize? In the mind only, right? And the mind, the physical part, the Golakam, if you know Tattva Bodha, Golakam for the mind is the heart.
Thank you, Acharya.
Yes, Meta.
Ravi ji.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of a silly question, but there was one line that said, "Tatra tvam nasi." You, Lord Yama, is not there. You are not there in heaven.
Yeah.
And also, he said, "Okay, but I know you know the fire ritual because you have gone to heaven." So
no, he has come to see. Yamalok is part of heaven. Okay. Swargaloka, one of the seven Swargalokas. One of them is Yamalok. One of them is Brahmalok. So have to come to heaven, to any of the lokas, you need to have the ritual. And once you go to Brahmaloka, obviously our Yamraj would have done the ritual and gone to Brahmaloka. Why? Because he's teaching the Upasana also.
Because
right?
he's going to teach the next part.
Upasana. So obviously he has done the Upasana. So he'll go to Brahmaloka. And we have to fill in the story by saying that we went to Brahmaloka, and then Lord Brahmaji said, okay, I will make you Lord Yama for the rest of this kalpa or whatever. And you go and carry out that particular post. That's why he landed up in Yama. So he's not there in Swargaloka or Brahmaloka. He is confined to Yamaloka. Of course, this is only by way of Arthavada, because people in Swargaloka also die. People in Brahmaloka also die.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, Sundar.
Sir, this hot cave that you have just mentioned, can it be used as the alambana instead of fire?
Well, you can use the hot cave alambana, but very specifically, this is Nachiketa Homa, right? The Agni Homa. Virat Ishvara has to be invoked on the Homam only. For the purpose of that Homam, yes. For the purpose of any other meditation, you can invoke on yourself. In fact, ideally is to invoke Brahman on yourself and then meditate. That will be good Nidhi Dhyasana.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I know it's interesting, it's a story, but please remember it's only a story. Okay. So if you ask me technical details about how to get to heaven and all that, I won't know.
Ravi ji, I had one more
kind
of doubt. So we have discussed that devatas are they don't have free will; they're bound by whatever duties they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And also, we have seen that everyone who goes to Brahmaloka may get the knowledge from Brahmaji.
Option is there. Okay.
Yeah, the option is there.
Yeah, you can always choose to enjoy all the pleasures of Brahmaloka and come back.
Okay, so suppose we take Lord Yama himself, who seems to have Atmajnanam, because later he explains all this to Nachiketa.
Yeah.
So we know that he has gone to Brahmaloka and received this knowledge from him, and yet he is still in this post of doing this.
Because Brahmaloka has not been destroyed, right? When Brahmaloka gets destroyed, everybody, including the main role plays, that is Yamaraj, Indra, Brahmaji himself, all will get destroyed. So that is possible only at the end of every kalpa, not end of every Shrishti. The kalpa is the 120 years or 100 years of Lord Brahmaji. At the end of that, everything is destroyed, including Brahmaloka. That is called Mahapralaya. Normal pralayam is the universe is destroyed excepting Brahmaloka or accepting the Swargas and Brahmaloka.
Yes, that is fine. But my question was, then we treat Lord Yama like a jnani.
Yes.
A Jivan Mukta.
Yes. He is a
At
Jivan
least
Mukta.
he is a Jivan Mukta who has not yet got Videha Mukti.
Correct.
So, but it is not like, that is not set, right, for everybody. The option is there to learn from Brahmaji.
Yeah, if you go to Brahmaloka, you have the option to learn from Brahmaji. If you go to the classes and you learn, then you will get Jivan Mukti. Simple as that. What you do after that is decided by what?
Prarabdha.
Prarabdha. It was Prarabdha of Yamaraj to hang around and become Lord Yama.
Okay.
That is the answer. And incidentally, Brahma Sutra talks about special Prarabdha,
Yeah, I was going to ask this, that you have mentioned special prarabdha, that certain jnanis even come back to execute certain special tasks for.
Yeah, that is a discussion only in Brahma Sutra I've seen. That's at the what they call will of Easwara. Easwara says that okay, you are Jivan Mukta, but sorry to tell you that Vidya Mukti is not in your reach just now. It's extra prarabdha I'm giving you. So you will be born again, but you will be born as a full Jivan Mukta. So for you, it's a game. You have to fulfill those duties.
So it's possible certain devatas are in that.
It's possible. Certain devatas are in that. Absolutely. But when you come to Mandukya, you will learn that all this is to be ignored because
Yes.
there is nothing but you.
Actually, I got confused about this once and I tried to ask SPG and he answered initially, and after some time he said, this is not relevant, focus on the main thing. And then he didn't answer that anymore.
Yes, because SPG is looking at it from the Mandukya angle. From the Mandukya angle, if you at the end of the Mandukya, it's very simple. It simply says that you exist. Don't bother about anything else.
Yeah, the ultimate answer.
Yeah, you are the only one who exists. How does it matter? In fact, at one point in Mandukya, Shankara says that even if you are born 1,000 times, why should it bother you?
Yes.
So in fact, everything that we are learning now is, as SPG says, it's for junior student. In the eyes of Shankara, you are becoming a senior student only when you touch the Mandukya. And once you touch Mandukya, then you have to forget all these things, or at least learn to assimilate this in the light of Mandukya knowledge, which is that Brahma Satyam. Jagan Mithya is also not there. Yes, June.
Acharya. So, if the Gochalam of the chitta is the physical heart, what does the brain stands for? Is it mentioned in the scripture something about the brain?
The brain is just a piece of flesh.
A piece of, okay. Thank you. Just wanted to confirm that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, guys. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
so much,
patience.
Acharya. Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya.